future of DevSecOps, the trends and the predictions for 2025. And yeah, so these are all the agenda, a small change like which Akash shared with us, because I just wanted to like bring the salary and the job description as well, so that like it will be a good eye opener for the team. So that's why I just like brought all these things. And first, we will start with this. What is this DevSecOps? So, because we know DevOps, and we actually we are hearing that particular voice a long time back, or from the long time. But what is this DevSecOps? A new terminology actually popped up. So here, this DevSecOps is actually a compound word, I would say, and it is actually the short form or acronym kind of thing for development, security, and operations. So it is once again the security practices into the DevOps. So we are actually taking the DevOps process and implementing the security at whatever the place it is possible or wherever it is possible. So that is what actually we are doing in terms of this particular DevSecOps. Okay, so this is what actually like we are having at this. We are just like having at this particular moment. Okay, and then yeah, so we are just like having what are all the points like we are including here. Yes, you include, or we are actually going to include as a part of this the security measures at each and every stage of the software development life cycle. So from the initial design, in the sense including the thread modeling, and the development, like how to secure your development environment, your developer machine, and how to like do the deployments securely, and also in your maintenance phase. And this includes, yes, like we will be implementing some secure coding standards or coding methods to the developers, and as well as we will be automating the security testing at the end or the post deployment in the production environment. So this is all about this your DevSecOps. It's in a nutshell. Yes, you are actually bringing the DevOps, and we are actually like in terms of DevOps, we are integrating the security concept. So that is what the DevSecOps actually we are having. And yeah, why you need this particular DevSecOps at this moment? So the first thing, you it will actually enhance your security posture of your application or web app, or might be whatever the artifact that you are developing. And then the faster time to market, because in the recent times we are actually seeing a lot of vulnerabilities, and we are just like taking lot of time to verify and validate that in the lower environments. And also like the people are actually giving the or releasing that particular what is it, like the applications to the production environment without having the proper security check, and that is actually creating lot of chaos. So like this particular DevSecOps will bring your security check in all the phases, and the faster time to market, like we will be having this faster time to market here. And yes, improved collaboration. So DevOps improved the collaboration of development and the operations team, and this DevSecOps is improving the collaboration between development, operations, and the security team. And the cost efficiency, because let us see, if you are finding a security bug in the production environment, so the cost of fixing that particular security issue or security vulnerability in the production environment is so costly. Security posture, and also the faster time to market, and also once again the improved collaboration between like all the teams, and also like we are having the cost efficiency here. So we are just like implementing the cost efficiency point in terms of fixing the vulnerabilities in the lower environments itself. And yes, we are just like having this key principles here. The shift left security we are just like achieving, and also the automation, the end-to-end automation we are achieving with the DevSecOps, with the security as the first priority. And then we are just like having this continuous monitoring. So we are continuously monitoring each and every aspect or each and every stage of our pipeline, and also the infrastructure, and also the app, and the compliance and governance. Why? Because whenever you are actually employing, or whenever you are just like applying for your the standards, ISO standards or SOC 2 standards. So these points, okay, these the DevSecOps concepts will really help you to achieve a lot. I mean, I'm not like telling in terms of the theoretical way, but I have just like done this in one of the previous assignments where I have like worked, and there this particular DevSecOps really helped a lot in order to really helped a lot in order to complete that particular ISO standard, I would say. So that is the point I just wanted to like mention here in terms of this key principles of DevSecOps. And the one point I want to mention here is this shift left approach. So if you see, our application is actually starting from dev and it is actually going towards your server. So which means your app is actually traveling towards the right direction, which is from app to app development to the server deployment. But what this security will do, so instead of, let us say there is an issue or security vulnerability in this particular place, so instead of finding and fixing the issue at this moment, so this DevSecOps will find the issue at the very early stages, let us say here or here or here. Then it will shift that particular security vulnerability to the left side. So this is what we are calling it as shift left. So instead of like promoting your app to the right side, you are actually like pushing that to the left side, and this is what we are calling it as shift left approach. So this is what actually we are calling it as shift left approach here. Okay, so this is what actually we are having at this particular moment, so the shift left approach. And okay, now like you will be having a question then. Okay, so how we will be implementing the DevSecOps practices? So what are all the different ways that you can use in order to like implement in terms of the DevSecOps practices? So here we are just like having security as a code. So we will be writing, because infrastructure as a code, and we are actually living in the age, or we are actually like living in the era of security as a code, I mean sorry, everything as a code here. So then we are actually achieving the same point here in terms of security as a code. Then we are actually having this concept called thread modeling. So what this particular thread modeling will do, actually we will be implementing the thread, I mean we will be just like implementing the thread modeling, which we will model the possible threats, because we will be thinking like an attacker, or we will be like thinking like a hacker before implementing or before moving to the actual deployment. So this will actually come under the planning phase of your application. So this will actually come under the planning phase of your application. So that is what like your thread modeling called as. Then we will be performing this static and dynamic analysis. So we will be just like having this static and dynamic analysis testing, where we will be having like all the what is it, like the tools or the configurations in order to achieve that. Then nowadays most of the artifacts are in the containerized state. So we will be like taking this particular containerization, or we will be like implementing the containerization here, and how like we will be implementing the container security for that. So that's what like we will be taking here. And yeah, so we are just like having in terms of the basic difference between DevOps and DevSecOps, because like as we have like discussed a lot on top of that. And yeah, so now like you will be having this particular question: what is DevSecOps and how does it differ from DevOps? So this is first one. And then like we will be having this: how do I get started with implementing DevSecOps in my project? So that is another question that will be like implemented we will be having. So then this is actually the image representation. Okay, this is actually the image representation between this DevOps and DevSecOps. If you see this image very clearly, so DevOps includes the development activity, the IT operations, and finally, it will talk only in terms of your application delivery. But if you go into DevSecOps, if you just like go into DevSecOps here, so you will be having this development, and you will be having this IT operations, you will be having this security, and also you will be having the application delivery. So if you see, and another portion got integrated, or another part got integrated into your DevSecOps area. So that is nothing but your security. So what it defines means you should be having like good idea in terms of this DevSecOps. So before implementing the DevOps concepts here, I mean before implementing the DevSecOps concepts. But yes, definitely you can learn DevOps. I mean DevSecOps without knowing the DevOps also. But you will get the better clarity and the understanding very clearly. And then yes, so just wanted to like talk about the salary of the DevSecOps engineer here. And yeah, it is a very high confidence salary where it is a base pay range actually starting from 8L to 16 LPA, and this is for the beginners, I would say. If you see the role, it is DevSecOps engineer, not a senior DevSecOps engineer, not a lead DevSecOps engineer, and not a principal DevSecOps engineer. So you can just like think in terms of this if you need, or if you just like have all those things. Yeah. And then yeah, this one I took from an another website. You might be like already aware of this particular website here. So that is what actually this is another screenshot, like I just wanted to like make it here. Yeah. And then yeah, this is a kind of job description that I took from that I just like took from one of the product based companies job description, I would say. So where we are just like having all those things. So it's a kind of like they are just like expecting for the healthcare industry, then that is fine. But if you see the responsibilities, we will be deploying the security tools and the process, and we will just like maintain the automated security control assessments, and also we should support the development teams for bringing the automated security testing, and we have to like we have to plan and conduct the testing and the validation procedures. Yes. And also we have to like monitor and support the installed systems and infrastructure. So this is what actually we are as a responsibility. But in terms of what we are expecting, so this will change. So this the expectation will change based on the company, so we don't need to worry, or we don't need to focus that much of thing on top of this. But at the same time, if you see here, the secure development life cycle, yes, we are actually covering in our course. And also the this entire thing, SAST, SCA, DAS, we are just like covering, and the DevSecOps tool chain and the maturity model, how to like deal with that. So we are actually like covering every point here. Yeah. So we whatever like we are having, and this is actually coming as a part of your job description, nothing much. Okay. And then yes, like these are all the familiarities, but not limited to actually, because they have clearly mentioned it is to beneficial. Okay. It is to it is to like beneficial. Okay. It is to like beneficial, because like you are having this Azure DevOps like learning, maybe any CI tool like that you can just like do. And Docker, yes, definitely for the containerization, and the SAST SCA tool. So these tools will change here. And yeah, you will stand out if you just like deal with the infrastructure as a code, container, and image security scanners. So please just like think about that, like how we are actually like having multiple security related activities into a single job description. So this is what I wanted to like mention at this particular stage. And this is one such screenshot. I took it from the LinkedIn, as one of the best sites that you might be like using on a daily basis. If you see, for DevOps in India exclusively, so when I just like searched for that, I got 23,000 plus results. But at the same time, when I just like searched for DevSecOps, I got only 512 results. But nowadays it's actually like popping up, and most of the companies are actually looking for the DevSecOps engineer here, as we are focusing on the security, the cyber security related thing. So You can just like see now if you just like go and check your LinkedIn with this particular keyword, you will be like seeing a lot of like more count comparing with this particular one. So based on that, you can just like check this particular point. Yeah, and we will just like we will just like simply like we will looking into this DevSecOps life cycles, the stages, and the essentials, essential tools, like how what are all the things like we have to like use. So that is what actually we are going to use it here. And yeah, the first phase is actually the initial phase you are having here is right. So it is actually the phase of your planning and designing phase. So in this particular planning and designing, okay, so the in terms of this planning and designing, you are actually having the thread modeling as the first phase. So here we will be like using these tools called Microsoft thread modeling tool or OS thread dragon. So what is the purpose here? It will actually identify the potential threats or the vulnerabilities in the design phase itself. So during the design phase itself, we will be like using this. And then after identifying each and everything, where we will just like put all those things, so where we will just like mention all these particular points here. So for that we will be like using these tools called Jira and Confluence in order to what is it, document that particular document and manage the security requirements here. Okay, so these are all the second tool, and then we will be having this development and the coding. So what are all the development and the coding we are just like having? Yes, so under the secure coding practices, we have to mention, okay, we have to like mention that particular secure coding practices to the developers. We have to educate the developers on secure coding practices. Why? Because from there itself, from that particular place only, your app is actually getting created. So we have to prevent the common vulnerabilities. And then yes, SAST should be there, where the tools like Sonar Cube check marks and the other tools will come into the picture. It will actually analyze the source code for security vulnerabilities. So that is the second stage we will be like implementing. The third one would be the build and integration stage. So we will be like managing the dependency management using this dependent bot or white source or sneak kind of thing. And it will, what it will do, it will actually scan your open source libraries under the dependencies. So that is what like your dependency management will do. And then we are having this automated build process like the Jenkins, GitHub Actions, and this GitLab CI/CD, and whatever the pipeline we are writing, that will be implemented in this particular place. So automated the build process, and then we will be having this testing under the validation. So what is this testing under the validation will do? We are just like having this DAST, which is OWASP, ZAP, and Burp Shoot or Acunetics. So here OWASP ZAP is a open source one, and Burp Shoot you are having the community edition. It will act as a proxy, and it will actually run the attack, simulating the external attacks on your applications. Then you are having the IAST, interactive application security testing, where we will be dealing with this contrast security, Veracode, and HCL app scan. And what this will actually do, it will actually analyze the code and the runtime behavior here. Okay, so this will actually perform like both these things. Okay, so runtime behavior to check, it will perform like both the DAST and the SAST simultaneously. Then you are having this continuous container security scanning, where like your all your containers, I mean the container images will be checked for your the vulnerabilities and the misconfigurations. And you will be using these tools called Aqua Security and twist lock, and like what is like the anchor. So these kind of tools you will be like using here. And then we will be having this deployment under the release, and for this we will be having this infrastructure as a code security. So we will be like using this Terraform with DevSec and AWS cloud formation guard. What is the purpose? Because your infrastructure as a code tool is the day one tool that you are going to like deal with. That is the day one tool that you are going to deal with. And your infrastructure should be secured one. So we will be like implementing this particular plan also. And then we will be having this continuous deployment pipeline, where we will be like dealing with once again with the Jenkins, GitHub Actions, and GitLab CI/CD tool. So we will be like dealing with the automate the deployments with the security checks and the validations, and finally that will be deployed in the respective environments. In the recent times, that would be nothing much your Kubernetes cluster in the cloud. And then yes, post deployment we have to take care of the operations and the maintenance. So for operation and the maintenance, like what are all the tools we will be like using here is, we will be like using Splunk, ELK stack, or IBM QRadar, or Prometheus Grafana. So that is to monitor your applications and infrastructure and to create the alerts. And then we will be integrating that with the incident response management. So you will be having a the tools like PagerDuty, Splunk Phantom, and the Hive, and we will manage and respond our security incidents. Like whatever the security incidents we are getting, we will be like managing and implementing that or resolving that. And then yes, we are having the compliance and the governance, as most of the SecOps team will be working on that. So you will be writing some code, a policy as a code kind of thing, and using that you will be implementing or you will be automating the compliance checks actually. So this is what actually like we are doing in terms of your compliance activity or compliance audits here. So we are calling it as policy as a code, auditing as a code, or compliance as a code. And then we are having this regular security audits like Nessus, Qualys, or Rapid7 Insight VM. So we will be performing the regular security audits in our better other infrastructure, I would say. So using these particular tools. Then finally, we are just like having this feedback under the compliance tool. So we should give this particular feedback under the continuous improvement, where we will be just like where we are just like dealing with the, where we are just like dealing with this post incident analysis. So after completing or after finding any issues, okay, so after finding any issues kind of thing, so where we have to like mention, where we are just like where we are just like going to mention that particular findings and all. So those findings will be available in this, or you can just like enter into this Jira or the Confluence tool. And then like you are having this continuous, and then we are having this continuous improvement and the learning, where we will be performing the retrospective, okay, where we will be performing the retrospective points here. So retrospective in the sense, we will be like implementing a lot of points, or we will be just like discussing about what went well, what could be improved. So these kind of points, and in order to implement that, we will be like using this continuous learning and the improvement. We will be using the feedback, the audits, the monitoring things, and how much incidents you have like resolved. So these kind of points. So these are all the eight the different tools stages that you can implement a best to in order to get the a best approach in terms of your this particular scanning to, I mean, the DevSecOps scanning. Okay. So now we have just like discussed about the DevSecOps, okay, how to implement DevSecOps. So all those things actually we have like seen at this particular moment. So how we can just like implement that? What are all the predictions that we are having? So that particular point also we need to check, right? So what are all the different predictions we are just like having as a part of this one? So the first one we are, I mean, like we are just like having here is this, the increased automation with AI and the ML integration. So now, like, team, we are actually talking about agentic AI. So we are actually talking only in that particular wordings actually. So in terms of like agentic AI, all those things. So how we can just like achieve that particular one? Okay, so how we can just like achieve that particular one means, by actually like this is one of the key prediction, because our DevSecOps should be able to, or the pipeline which you are creating should be able to scan your agentic AI or agent related things as well. And then the shift left security. So we are just like shifting our we are just like shifting our what is it, like we are just like shifting our the control everything to the left. So this particular shift left approach is also a good point here. Then the zero trust architecture, as I already mentioned, in terms of security, you should not believe anyone. So you should not believe anyone in the sense the zero trust architecture. So you should not like what is it, like take any, or you should not like trust anyone inside this particular architecture. So we should be like very clear in terms of this. So that is what actually we are calling in terms of zero trust architecture. Then we are having this cloud native security. So this cloud native security is nothing but like, as we are deploying everything in terms of the cloud native, let us say you were like your this one, what is that point is called as your Kubernetes is also an example for your cloud native deployment, or the cloud native deployment kind of thing. So we should be like clear in that particular perspective as well. And then DevSecOps as a service. So because now most of the tools, or most of the companies actually started to provide this DevSecOps as a service. Okay, so this particular DevSecOps as a service, we are just like having as a service as well. So we have to be very clear in that particular perspective as well. And then we are having this enhanced compliance automation, because initially the auditors actually will come and they will just like do all those things in the manual way in order to validate our environment kind of thing. But what this particular what this particular stuff is actually doing is that we are actually like focusing in terms of this compliance automation. So enhanced compliance automation, we actually brought the tools to automate that particular setup as well. And then we are actually focusing in terms of this API security. So it is actually like very important in terms of this API security here, because most of the tools are being shared as the API security APIs. And then yes, we are just like bringing the unified DevSecOps platforms. So CNAPP is one such example for that cloud native application protection platform. If you just like explore about that, that is one such example that you will be able to see like multiple tools here. And then yes, the improved collaboration and the culture between the different teams. And then yes, the security training and the awareness to all the team members. So that is what actually I just wanted to mentioned here. So nothing much. So these are all the key trends and the predictions that we are having for the 2025 in devs, I mean in 2025 in the area of DevSecOps. And in addition to that, we will be having lot of things, but just wanted to tell this as a point here. Yeah, so team, with this, yes, I'm just like concluding my point here. And yes, we are, as in terms of DevSecOps training in InfoSec train, we are actually covering all these tools in the sense, not all these tools, but we are actually taking only in terms of your open source tools. Let us say Sneak, the free tier, GitHub Actions, and then like some of the tools we are just like integrating in our DevSecOps pipeline, the end-to-end DevSecOps pipeline. So this is the point I just wanted to mention.